What's up, everybody? You know what it is. It's Dripping Conversation. We're hosting Bishop O's and
Paul Weinstock.
Listen, we thankful again to be able to come into your space. Remember now that our net worth is not connected to our self-worth, which means what we have does not dictate who we are. This is Dripping Conversation, but drip is more than materialistic. But drip is your character, your integrity, your past, your spirit, strength, and hope. And guess what? We have an amazing partner guest in here, my family, my friends, and let's get a drum roll going. For the Kings, yeah! What's up? We got the Kings. Kim King and Dante King, and by the way, happy birthday, brother!
Thank you, man. Thank you. Know I love you. I'm here on my birthday.
Man, yeah, I know that.
Man, it was between you and Anguilla, and I chose you.
Oh my God!
That was great, man.
That's special, man. You want to tell the people how old you are?
Double nickel.
Double nickel.
55. Still
55.
alive.
Double favor.
Double favor. Double
Man.
grace. All that good stuff.
And all the stuff. We're going to get to that favor part at the end. But we want to get right down to the nitty gritty. First of all, Dr. Kim Lee King is my sister. Don't we look alike? That's my sister.
Listen. You my brother from another mother.
Yeah.
For sure.
And I had to have both of you together because you're doing dynamic things, not only in the kingdom, but in the marketplace, around the world. You everywhere, you're sought out on newscasts, and we are so grateful to have you take out a moment to come and share with Drip and Conversation. Of course, they have the material drip as well. They always look good, they fly, because they got that little DC in them, so we know what's happening. But we want to get right into it. We want to know basically from both of you, if you can share one-on-one that where you come from, how did that look, what city, what state, did you have parents in your home, that sort of thing.
Sure.
And we'd like to hear from either one of you can start, but briefly from each and one of you, what that looks like.
Sure.
So I'm original DC native. Grew up around the corner from you. We both grew up uptown. Ended up graduating from Laurel. My parents ended up moving out to the suburbs. And I actually, this building is very nostalgic for me without boring you with all of my schooling, but I went to Bowie State and then went to law school and decided to leave law school to pursue a career in beauty. And I grew up in a family that had, plenty of beauty artists, makeup artists, not makeup artists, hairstylists, barbers. And my family salon was right around the corner from here, right on Rhode Island Avenue. So, this whole corridor for me is very nostalgic. And when I left Georgetown Law School to pursue makeup, I remember applying for a job here in this very building where we're shooting. So I told Pastor when we were pulling up that I would pull up every day when I worked at BET, and I would be so afraid, and I would sit in the car and I would just breathe. Wow. Because it took everything for me to come in here with very little experience, but with a whole lot of just thought like I could do this. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? That's kind of like the I think the DNA of anybody from the DMV. We had so much creativity, and we just needed to express it. Sure. Of course, growing up in the city with go-go and with fashion and things like that. So I just felt like I had something to contribute to this industry, and so I would pull up and I would breathe and just remember, who I was and what I needed to do. So long story short, I've been in the beauty industry ever since then. I was started here at BET, and first shows, Teen Summit and things like that. So that tell you how long I've been in the industry. And lots of doors opened up. Ended up working with A-list clients, working on movies, all that stuff. I ain't gonna tell you everything, but just to pull you up, fast forward, I ended up, just being blessed to do a lot of wonderful things, which were all stepping stones, which we'll talk about today. And I just am so grateful that my life is complete with this man that's next to me, because I had everything except for love.
Wow.
Right? I had, career, fashion, all that stuff, success, but I just didn't have love. And so here we are with my husband, and he has helped me with ministry and love and all those things. He completed the parts of me that were incomplete. So here we are.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so that was kind of like a
That's amazing. What an amazing story. Short story. And Dr. King.
So the question was, where did we grow up at?
Yeah, where you were born.
I'm born in Washington, D.C. Grew up in the Southeast for early years. I ended up moving to Calvert County, Maryland. So came from I would call it a dysfunctional family. My mom was a drug addict. My formative years of life, never knew my father. Didn't meet him until later on in life, and kind of lived that D.C. Even when I moved to Southern Maryland, that kind of street life, if you will. Raised by my grandparents predominantly, so some of my early formative years were kind of growing up around that type of environment.
I see.
You see me from different sides of the tracks.
Well, that's
growing up, we weren't
Yes.
allowed to go on the south side.
Right.
We could not go over that bridge,
exactly.
right?
Yes.
And it's great that the opposite attracts.
Absolutely.
And let me just ask before we get back to Kim, then I'm going to allow you to move how you want to move, right?
Yes.
I want to ask one question in that transition of moving back out Calvert County. What can you think of that was significant that shaped you to be where you are today?
Actually, it was one of the worst experiences of my life when I first moved there. I'm coming from the city, moved to the country where literally my grandparents lived beside a cow field. And no street lights, no McDonald's.
Yeah.
But what I learned there moving with my grandparents was work ethic. My grandfather and my uncles instilled a work ethic in me that I'm glad I have. I don't think I would have received in the city. So I learned work ethic. I learned how to cut wood and help my grandmama in the garden, and learn how to walk to church and things like that.
Wow.
I met God through my grandmother living in Southern Maryland. So it was a horrific experience from the beginning, but it really helped me grow up and mature and learn work ethics.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah,
All these
absolutely.
years that I've known you, I never really heard that. That's amazing.
Yes, sir.
We're going to tap
Yes,
more
sir.
into that.
Absolutely.
Because there's
Absolutely.
more in you from that, and we want to get all that out of you.
Absolutely.
Dr. Kim, what can you say, living in the inner city, dealing with fashion and the go-go, and you know how we come up, what can you say that really kind of shaped you to be as authentic as you are and as real as you are today?
I think what you just said, the operative word in that question was just authenticity. I think just us being authentically who we are. I think I know for sure, not think, I know growing up in the DMV helped us to be authentic because we had our own authentic sound. I feel like from that sound, we were so rhythmic here that every part of us was rhythmic.
Yeah.
We didn't have it wasn't no boring clothes. It wasn't no boring hair. It wasn't any boring events. Everything we did, and we were resourceful. I think that for me helped me to shape me in the beauty and fashion industry. And when I say resourceful, I mean that we used what we had. I mean, I remember making clothes at my house. I remember, studding up stuff myself. I remember, cutting up the shimmies on the side of the T-shirt. And, I remember Georgia Avenue Day and us getting on our bikes and riding down Georgia Avenue and making our hood T-shirts because, we were in Shepherd's Park. So, we would make our own shirts and all that kind of stuff to rep our hood. So there was a lot of pride, growing up here in D.C. And again, resourcefulness. And I think that, we were able to create. We grew up with the mayor who allowed us to work young, and so we learned, like Pastor, a lot of work ethic here. I learned how to manage my own money at 14. I was working at the rec center. I was working at Emory, so there were moments for me that I think helped to shape me even as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, and as a creative. We went to go-go's. We went to places where we watched, Pastor and I talk about this and laugh about it. We watched the roadies set up a whole show, right?
Yeah.
We watched them put in plugs and mics and all that. We watched the lights go. We watched them do mic checks. So I was destined to work in entertainment. This is what, because we watched 18-year-olds do this, and they had an opportunity to. Where they get this stuff from? Where they get the equipment from?
Right.
Who funded it? And we paid $10 to get in, and they always showed up.
Sure does.
You know, it wasn't. It obviously wasn't about money
Yeah.
because it might have been 200 of us. Seemed like thousands, but 200 of us in the black hole, right? So we in the black hole, and we just we doing the chants, we doing the call and response. So we pushing them. We supported one another.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And the bands would come from Southeast and all that kind of stuff, and we still support it. So I think that all of that really helped us to shape us as DMV natives in so many areas. So many of my friends are entrepreneurs because we watched people didn't even realize run businesses back then, right?
Yeah.
Even from the dude on the corner, to those who, my guys who we bought the oils and incense from. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like on the court, like we watched entrepreneurship so young, and it just wasn't foreign to us. It wasn't hard work wasn't foreign to us. Creativity wasn't foreign to us. So I think that if that answers your question,
It did. And you did it in a marvelous way.
And let me go to you first this time, Pastor King. As far as your situation growing up without your parents, could you talk a little bit about that? Because I know we have people that actually can hear something that you experienced and your challenges that you overcome that may help another individual that deals with a situation like you.
I think it's very difficult. You look back on hindsight, it looks very difficult. But while you're going through something, it seems normal. Okay. My wife grew up in a situation where what she had was normal to her. But growing up in Southeast, then ended up knowing a lot of other people, coming back and forth. Having a single parent was normal. Being raised by a mother was normal. Having a parent that was on drugs is normal. Not knowing your father is normal. So what happens is the danger in that, Paul, is we become functionally dysfunctional. We learn how to function in dysfunction, and it makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
And until you step outside of it and realize this is dysfunctional.
Yeah.
Something's wrong with this.
Yeah.
But as long as you're in it, it makes sense. We have a lot of young people in things now, it makes sense to them because it's all they see.
Right.
Maya Angelou say, I do know better because I see no better. So if you don't see anything different, it wasn't until I saw something different. It wasn't until I saw people living different. It wasn't until I saw, even though my grandparents were older, I saw how my grandmother had honor for my grandfather, how my grandfather worked hard. Then, being exposed to something different gave me a drive to be different. And so very difficult growing up with a single mom who's on drugs. Thank God she got saved and delivered the last 30 years of her life. She gave it to Christ. She lived a wonderful life, but that dysfunction is dangerously something we have to eradicate from our community and show that there's a better alternative way of living. But you have to see it first, right? And you have to want it, and you have to engage in it.
And I think, don't you think you guys, even when we talk about that, in terms of what they see, what the youth see, what those who are in those impoverished situations, or those situations where they don't know any different, but they see it on social media. But unfortunately, we see snapshots of people's best lives, and we don't see the struggle that it takes to actually, grow up in a different way. I think that social media has its good and its bad because we didn't have social media. So, like he said, we grew up in. We thought was normal, We grew up in those row houses uptown, and we didn't realize we didn't have walk-in closets. We didn't have cribs, all them shows, But we watched teenagers arrive to prom on helicopters. We ain't had that,
I say what was normal to her having a wash and dry in the home, it was normal for us to have a wash and dry in the basement of the apartment.
Well, we didn't really have a wash and dry all the whole time.
It's your normal.
Some of the time, I think later on.
So I got a question for you, Dan Kim, since I went to Pastor King. My question to you is, in today's society with our young females, okay, what would be your message to them?
Wow, that's a good question. That's a good question. So many messages I could give to young women. I actually would tell, and I know this is very cliche, but it is so true, and I actually just thought about this. I think what I would tell young women is that you really need to give yourself some grace. Okay. You really need to give yourself some grace, because I think that we strive so hard for perfection, and perfection is so overrated, because with filters, it's not fair.
Sure.
Okay.
Right? Mm-hmm. And so you got to give yourself some grace to be who you are. I'm going to give you a real honest confession. I gained about 40 to 50 pounds when my father died. Mm-hmm. And me working in the beauty industry, that's a no-no, air quotes, right? Yes. And what I've had to learn to do is each day I get up is learn to embrace where I am and give myself some grace and realize that lifes.
Yeah.
And when it lifes, you got to go with the punches. And how you do that goes back to my original statement, which is that you have to be resourceful. And so what I've had to do is learn how to redress myself. I've had to learn how to, how to conceal and learn how to do the things until I'm able to get the strength. And this is real. To get the strength, Pastor will tell you, there were days you had to drag me out of the bed because I was grief-stricken. I never thought I would lose my hero. Other than my husband, my father was my hero. I grew up in a two-parent family, right? I grew up, he always say I had a Mayberry life, and times weren't always easy, but I will say that my father was he was my stepfather, and he was a great man. And then a month after he died, my best friend died suddenly. So my best friend of 33 years, and so that I was grief-stricken. Grief-stricken. And then 6 months later, my best friend's son was murdered. That was just July 12th. So I'm still coming off the heels of that. And so I would tell young girls, because even though that might not be their story about death, but maybe it's something else. Maybe it's something else they're deficient in. Maybe it's something else that they're being challenged with. But you got to take what you got. And I know this is all the cliches we heard, but those work. They work. For some reason, we think that the wheel is going to be reinvented. The cliches work. You got to take lemons and make lemonade. I have to get up, and Pastor will say, Kim, get up. You got to get up. Because some days I'm grief-stricken. Yesterday I was grief-stricken. Yesterday.
But the day you look good.
I did my makeup in the car. I'm getting ready to cry. But I did. You understand what I'm saying? So I
it's
just.
dripping.
We dripping. I'm dripping in tears, but it's real because we don't always have good days. If you had called yesterday, I wouldn't have come.
I know.
But because we came today, I knew I had to show up for him for his birthday, for you for your podcast, you and Paul. And I had to show up. And some girls don't feel like showing up.
You have to show up.
But you gotta show up. That's why you have to make sure your circle is tight. That this is my circle, right? Y'all our circle.
Sure.
I don't always every young girl don't have that circle. So you gotta choose your friends wisely. You gotta choose the ones that's cheering you on. My girl is gone. She died. So, you just gotta choose your circle, make lemonade out of lemons, and you just gotta be resourceful.
And you have to show up being the best version of you as well.
Okay.
Sometimes you want to show up being someone else or what people expect you to be. I've learned how, and I taught this last night at Soul Food, I learned how to love me. And we learn how to love each other. So the best version of me, I'm going to show up. If you don't like that Dante, it's not another one I can give you. And people need to learn how to do that. That's
But
the
that
best
took
version
55
of you.
years, though. I feel like it took us a combination of
Years.
time.
It takes years.
It takes years to me
show up
to
as,
do that.
as who you are.
You got
the
to.
authentic
I'm
you.
sitting here almost ready to burst because I'm trying to culminate what you said earlier and what he said about dysfunction. You said one word, and I held on this word. You said rhythm, but you were talking about go-go, that we found a rhythm. And then I heard dysfunction. He had to find a rhythm in dysfunction to even make it. That rhythm, finding that rhythm in whatever situation you in, even when you going through your grief, you gotta get that rhythm back. And get into that rhythm and get to moving again. And then you can see what the Lord or what Allah.
Okay. we'll get to that part.
Get to that part. Get to that
I
part.
didn't
Please
realize
do.
that you were of two different faiths.
There we go. We touched on that
doing this
too.
intentionally.
But I like it though. I like it because
Yeah.
it's respect, and
I
I
like
think
that.
sometimes we don't respect what we don't know.
What we're trying to
So-
show the world is that you can embrace without endorsing.
Absolutely.
If the block need to be fed, we put the religion down.
Put that
and feed the
aside.
We
block.
feed the block. We already there.
Yeah,
We already
so
there. We talk about it all the
healthy
time.
arguments. We
Yeah.
talk about it. We discuss it, and it's healthy, and to show Christians that we can work with other people outside of our religious
what it's-
faith,
well, it's all-
vice
it's-
versa, and be able to synergize and collaborate.
That's what it's all about anyway.
And meet the needs of people.
Yeah. That's
Absolutely.
what it's
Oh,
all
you
about.
already
Absolutely.
on our street.
Yeah, you want to talk my language.
Yeah,
you
that's
got
where we are, and that's kind of what we're pushing. And
And when we had Pastor Jamal Bryant, he touched on the importance of it as well.
Absolutely.
That we had interviewed. So
Yeah, we do more together than we can apart.
Apart,
There you
We
go.
support.
There
We
you
support.
go.
I think it's a statistic says we support black businesses. We'll make a millionaire every week. If blacks will support black businesses, like I said, put aside the religion,
Yes.
sexual orientation,
Yes.
whatever the case may be,
Yes.
to support one another's people.
Yes.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And I think that's awesome. We're going to shift a little bit into how y'all meet.
Wow. So we met at I'll tell the story. So we met. You can tell your version. We met at church. Well, I've heard of her, and years ago, it was crazy. So I was part of Greater Mount Calvary, and
Okay.
years ago, I didn't know who she was. She was getting her minister license along with some of my people from my church in Southern Maryland that you preached at.
Sure.
And so they had to come through the board, at the Board of Presbytery. So she came on the board. I never forget the day, and I asked her, she was leaving, and she was like, any more questions? I said, well, explain to me the book of Obadiah, and who was he talking to? And she looked like Bishop Orzalo said, I said, never mind. So I saw her that day. Then, of course, in
I
passing.
did answer the question.
You did answer the question.
Okay, that's
I
right.
had just studied Obadiah.
Give her her flowers.
But for whatever reason, I don't know why.
So in past, you see people with things like that. So of course, I was married, and then years go by, and I got a divorce, and I was preaching for Pastor Sturdivant. Pastor Sturdivant, I didn't know that was his goddaughter, and she was in service. I'm looking, she's beautiful, man.
Yeah.
Hello.
And where's Little Wayne? I like him long hair, thick red bone.
Yeah.
And so I saw her, so
Come on, dude.
I
That
questioned
drip.
about her, and he said so she was. We connected and met, and then I ended up doing a photo shoot for some things I was doing, and we talked, and eventually we went out for a date, and it was a horrible date.
Awful.
It was me. I was on my phone texting, trying to figure out what I'm doing after this. I'm single at this point.
Yeah.
I'm divorced. I got my own crib in Upper Marlboro. I'm trying to figure out, not realize that the gift that God placed was right in front of
Sure,
me.
Right.
of course.
And full circle, we stopped talking for over a year. And Pastor Sturb and I went to Shirley Caesar's husband's funeral. In a 5-hour drive, I expressed to him how I felt about her, and it was a great conversation. We met in church. We met through Church Network. That's how we met.
see.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So how did you feel, Kim? When
Hold on before Kim go, because he touched on something that I
Okay.
want him to expand on. That's very important to the people. The phone issue. As far as at that time and to today, you learned that you texting and on your phone was something that was not important towards
Yeah,
you.
it's very, and that was back then. That was, wow. We've been married 9 years. That was 10, 11, 12 years ago. So we had people weren't on their phone like they are now. But I was, getting text messages and trying to figure out my next plan.
Okay.
And that's very, even to this day, I hate to see people on dates or you out to dinner
There you
on
go.
your
That's
phone.
what I want you to
Everyone's on their
touch on.
phone.
Yes.
You're not paying attention to the person you're with.
There you
I
go.
think that's something horrible. I hate to see people in church doing.
Yes.
Some are quote unquote on their scripture taking notes. Some are not.
Yes.
Some are texting, figure out what time to go to brunch. I think we have to learn how to pay attention to the person you're with
Be in
and
that
live in that moment. We learn how to live in that
to
moment.
be honest, that was the question I was going to ask Kim, how she felt when you were doing that.
Okay.
That was the question I was going, because I wanted her to expound on the other side, how it makes a person feel when somebody else is on the phone when they in your presence.
So I've been married to this industry for a long time, so I was already thinking, oh, you making moves, let me make some.
Right.
Like that's kind of where I was. I wasn't. I was irritated with him, and I told myself, "This over. We done. Good night. Let's go. Like let's hit it." I had this real, callous, cold, unhealthy, unsoothing, unwomanly kind of response to it because I just wasn't interested at that point. Because I always was taught, you never want a man that don't want you.
Okay.
That's what my daddy taught me, and I stand by that. I still stand by that. I just wasn't willing to. We were too early in the relationship. I hadn't formulated a wedding and all that. Like women, they go on dates and immediately they done put you at the altar, right? Women have already thought, I wonder if he marriage
put me
material. I
there.
went,
Yeah.
no.
Oh,
I was
smitten.
very
You
different.
was smitten.
Well, I was very different,
You
which
was
is what
smitten.
turned you on.
True, that part did turn me on.
Because he always say, I think like a dude because my father had
told
he
you.
instilled so much in me from a man's
But
perspective.
when you, it was something about me.
It wasn't then though. It wasn't till later.
Okay.
It wasn't
call
till later.
I call everybody watching live feed. I call that cap. But go ahead.
No, I wasn't capping. There ain't no cap here. I wasn't moved because I was
Nah,
like,
she wasn't moved,
I was
for
like,
real. Nah, she wasn't
I'm on my way to New York in 2 days. I knew I was working.
She wasn't moved at all.
I had a
She
lot
was
going on, and I was like, I'm good. And then we didn't talk for about a year because I was
year.
dating a shoe designer.
I'm telling you,
Look, we going too far.
No, that's good. Y'all call it the tea. We call it the dripping conversation.
Here's the real drip, right? Here's the real drip. So after that year, I tried to get in touch with her, couldn't get in touch with her. So she finally came back home, right? So I called her one day, and it was late. And I called her, and she said, hello. I said, hello? She said, I can't talk right now. Give me a second. Hung up the phone. I was mad as hell. I said, oh!
And got
I
in his
literally
car.
got in my car, came to her house like,
Wait a
Yo,
minute.
Slim.
He left out a real key detail. It was snowing. It was a blizzard.
yeah.
And I did it on purpose
Did it on
because I
purpose.
know how to play that mind game. I play that game because if I'm really busy, what you answering the phone for?
boy, yeah.
Right?
And she
I
whispered on the phone right
and I
there.
whisper.
I
And
can't
ain't
talk
nobody
right
there
now.
but the boys.
Playing that.
Bishop been to
doing
my
that.
house. Him and his wife been to my house. The house I lived in, you know where I lived in Maryland. So he came from Upper Marlboro to where my house was in, right? And came down Hill Road, walked down Hill because his car wouldn't come down Hill Road in snow. So he comes down Hill Road on foot with his Timbs on, and he comes to my house, the house you and your wife first came to, right?
Yeah.
And came and knocked on the door, and I said, Nick, who at the door? All the boys are there. I got all the boys with me because you know I grew up with all my I got sons.
Yeah.
And they like, some dude at the door. I'm like, what dude at the door?
I wasn't playing that though. I'm like, you try to play it like, I'd be as a man, we're like, we ain't trip, whatever.
Yeah.
Charles know the story. Hey, Charles.
But look, but it was like when I called her, because how sometimes as men, we think that they're gonna be there for us. Sometimes that is that false sense of arrogance, false sense of security that a lot of men have. She ain't going. I call her whenever. When I called her today, she whispered, Paul. I said, nah, shorty.
She knew what button to
I don't
push
know who
up.
over that jump. Whoever over there, they about to meet me.
Y'all are alpha males. I'm sitting here with 3 alpha males.
You about to meet me.
Y'all not gonna be defeated.
No.
So I already knew the way to defeat was to go ahead and mess with that mind.
Yeah.
I had to get in their head. You know what I'm saying? So that's where I was. Now them games over. Y'all don't play them games no more. I don't play them games.
So fast forward, had a wonderful, amazing wedding,
Yes.
and I'm grateful I had a little part in the wedding.
You had a big
and I-
part. They still
Major
talk about
part.
you at our wedding.
Really?
Major part.
Oh,
Major
no
part.
pastor has been able to duplicate unleavened bread, homemade unleavened bread.
The way you did.
The way you did, you
Remember.
did, and to describe
Yeah.
how the significance of communion is with marriage.
Yeah.
No one has been able to.
That was good.
And pastors are still to this day. Like, do you got the video from that? Because I'm still trying to get. I'm trying to get some of those tips from Bishop. I said, you got to call Bishop O's on that.
Yeah, that was
You
amazing.
really blessed us with that. You
And
blessed us.
so I can imagine how much hate or jealousy that was floating around the earth when you finally joined together. Because I'm pretty sure that there was some other sisters that thought they may have had an inroad, and of course you were a catch. And I'm pretty sure that there was some hate.
Let me tell you something that's crazy. 2 things that were crazy. Of course, she was a catch. And a lot of men were afraid to approach her, not because she's mean, because she's Kim Lee.
Sure.
And the reputation, she's around the world. She with, Serena Williams and Whitney. She with everybody. Anybody's famous, she's with. And I'll never forget, she told me when we started seriously dating again after the year, she said, I'm not going to mess around, lose my career dealing with you. And what she meant was, I should be able to take you places. You should be honorable. You should be, upright person. You should be, classy enough to go with me. So when I first brought her to my church, you preached to my church in Southern Maryland. When I first brought her there, there was several women. We was always sitting on the front row because I was single for several years, pastoring my church after my divorce. So they were on the front row. They're going to be the next one. And she came in. First of all, they didn't believe I was dating her because they saw her on television. They knew who she was. So like, oh my God, that's Kim Lee. They walked there and pushed me out the way. like that's my fiance. Whatever, Pastor, you don't know her.
Yeah.
Number 1. Number 2, some of the ladies left out immediately. They literally
Can you
walked
believe that?
out
Like a movie, like a
in the
Tyler
middle.
Perry
They
movie.
walked
Of
out
course, of
of the
course.
service.
Of course.
Yeah.
Last thirdly is we got married. You went part of the wedding. We made the blog. So it was a blog used to be famous called Obnoxious Blog, and it was all around the country. And we made the headlines of Obnoxious Blog, and the headline was amazingly ignorant, and the details were false. But we made the blog. When I saw it, and she saw, we called some worldwide pastors. They said, first of all, congratulations, you made it. Yeah. If they writing about you, you made it.
Yeah.
But I was devastated.
Yeah, and she was devastated. So it was a lot of hate going in several directions.
Sure, of course, man.
No, that's all I want to say about that. I'd rather keep on moving.
So I'm gonna ask both of y'all a question, but I'm gonna let you answer it first. Can you tell me one challenge that you had to go through that you overcame it in your relationship or marriage? I'm gonna say the marriage.
The marriage. So I think the challenge we had to overcome was the way we raised our children. Co-parenting and blended family for our marriage was a problem, and it almost destroyed our marriage. Early on in our marriage, we went through very detailed therapy and counseling with Pastor Sturdivant because I just could not, because my sons ran my life, you know, and he raised his children totally different, you know, and so it was really difficult for us because we had a different mindset of how we raised our children. One day we came home and our children had been fighting, and you know, I was on the road, and he was like, he came home, he was like, the house was destroyed, they had literally been fighting, and he was like, everybody gotta go, team us. If we don't, it ain't gonna be team us. And he would text me in difficult moments where I would have to make decision between, and I hate having to choose between a husband and a child. And it wasn't necessarily a choice, but it was the right thing to do, right? And I had to learn how to re-parent. I had to learn how to parent differently. Adult children, right? Because I was parenting my sons like they were children, but they are adults.
And as you said, two different ways of parenting as well, two different ways of raising our children. And she did, as a single mom, she did great, but it wasn't a man there.
Right.
And my children had the benefit of being raised with a two-family home. Just to give you an analogy, so Christmas came, we married, Christmas comes, and so Christmas, she used to buy the boys their own stuff. You get a PlayStation, you get an Xbox, you get separate. With games and all, right? So they get with me.
It's a big Christmas.
She always had big, they get with me, right, Bishop? And I took them to GameStop. So they said, how much money y'all got? They said, we got $200 some odd dollars. So they brought the console. They're looking at me. I'm like, okay, y'all ready? You ready to check out? We're going to get a game.
And I let him have
You
it.
have
I
no
said,
money
you
for
let
a
my
game.
kids go in GameStop, and you ain't get them no games to go with the game station. Like,
They
what
came
kind
home
of
with
father are you?
one
What kind
controller
of
and one
stepfather are you?
one controller and one game. And that's how I raised my kids. If you don't have the money for it, you don't evidently need it.
But that wasn't
So,
okay.
what
I'm
was it?
still mad about that.
Well, that's just an example
battles,
how we raise our children differently. So my children complain, they love her. My children say I raise them like the military. So they can call Miss Kim. They can text her right now and ask
Right
for
now.
$50. She'll send them $100. They ask me for 20, I might send 15.
Right.
So it's just how we just raise them differently. But we had to learn how to blend that together.
But that's great that you found that medium. And man,
A lot
it
of
looks-
tears.
It looks,
A lot of tears. My dog was salvaged as a result of it. And I know this sounds crazy, y'all, but my dog was part of our family.
Yeah.
My boys grew up with that dog. And when he got to the house, because he's an alpha male, he released himself on our hardwood steps, our
Several
beautiful
times.
hardwood steps,
Several times.
and looked at Pastor like, yeah,
Several
what? And lifted his leg up,
Several times.
and Toby let it loose. And Pastor, I came home one day and the dog was down Calvin County, and I was like, wait a minute, the dog was in one of our members down Calvin County at her house, and I was with a different name. She had renamed him. She had reclaimed him. Look, all the things, right? And look, I'm preaching, right? and look, and reestablished him in a whole nother address, and it was almost. And my son was like, "You let this take our dog. We ain't got this. He took our dog. We ain't got nothing there. It's between
And I
me
took
and
key-
it was ugly.
I took keys as well because a lot of her family members and friends had keys
They
in her old
did.
house. They come in
Everybody
and
had
out as they
keys.
wanted to.
Yes.
We get married.
So you know Charles on
yeah.
here, so you
You
can.
can't. I didn't say nobody names.
Okay, I'm just saying Charles
So they
is
could
on
come
here.
in and out as they wanted to. And that
Right.
was cool when she was single. But as she's married with a husband, you
Yeah.
just can't walk in and out whenever you want to.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? This is new rules to this.
You remember when we were dating, and this is a little quick funny story. My brother, who y'all know, he came in, he had keys. Ron
Yes,
had
he
keys.
did. Yes, he did.
Lo had keys. And Lo came in and we on the phone and you know your door say front door open.
Yeah.
So my husband was like, it's 11 o'clock. Who coming in your house?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know. He said, what you mean you don't know?
Yeah.
Because my house was that house. I had that
was,
family
it was.
open
Yeah, it
door
was.
kind
It
of,
was.
policy. And so he was coming in from wherever and he was like, why does he have permission to come in your house at 11 o'clock? I say, they don't need permission. They family.
Right.
You know,
Yeah,
so we just
exactly.
did things a lot differently.
And that's the challenge we had to overcome.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is the blending families. Blending
That's good. I
families.
think
Yes.
I think our listeners need to hear that because a lot of people struggle with that when you have blended families, how to give and take and how to compromise and
Absolutely.
communicate and get through
Yes,
that.
sir. Yes,
Because
sir.
at the end of the day,
Your children don't come first.
Right.
That's a hard pill. That's a hard pill to
Yes.
swallow.
Yeah.
It's a hard pill to swallow. When you get married, this comes first.
Yeah.
cleave to your
And
husband.
also picking your battles.
Yes.
That's something I had to work on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
pick your battle.
Brother.
No when to fight, no
That's a
when to
whole
fight.
nother podcast.
That's a whole nother
Yeah.
podcast.
That's a whole.
Yeah, we talk about that at
We
another
talk-
time.
yeah.
Because I still will fight a little bit. I still got a little fight in
You
me.
still got fighting.
Yeah, I still got to learn when to be like, shh.
Yeah.
We
Shut
trying
it
to get
down,
to
huh?
20 with y'all, so you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing. I want to cross the field, and we want to talk about all the things that you guys are doing. You're all on news and all on different podcasts, and you're sought out, and you're doing great things. You relaunched the ministry again, and we want to hear how that's going. We know you're excited.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know you're excited, but I want you to share your excitement about all that you're doing together, in particular with Kim, still doing the celebrity makeup stuff and opening up different brands and businesses, and you guys got a lot going on.
Absolutely.
And we want to hear a little bit about that and where you're going and where you intend to be
Sure.
in the next couple of months and so.
Sure. In the words of Neo chapter 1, verse 3, I'm a force all by myself, but I'm a movement when we together.
Yeah.
And we realize that we work better together. Our brand is us.
Yeah.
That's, she of course she has an individual talent being Kim Lee, but since we've been married, God has really made our brand us.
Sure.
People love to see us together. Where Fox 5 wants us to come on every month to do a relationship piece. So I realized that God put us together for a reason. We work well together.
Yeah.
We put a picture on of me, made anybody like it. Her, a couple hundred people put a picture on us together. Thousands of people like it. And so God has put us in a great space, a unique space to work together. Forward Church is amazing.
Yeah.
We're so excited what God is doing in the life of the ministry. I've been pastoring 25 years.
Sure. Yeah.
You preached in my old church,
Yeah, yeah.
and God's allowing me to build an old church, well, not an old church, a new church in Southern Maryland.
Yeah.
And then, time came we no longer could maintain the church, so we sold it,
Sure.
and we launched Forward Church. And it has its ebb and flows, and God has been faithful. God's been gracious to us throughout the life of the ministry. So it's us, team us. We work well together.
And we appreciate you for, I know many days when I wanted to be like, why in the world are we doing this? I see the push in you and Pastor when I watch you and how you have been able to sustain even your ebb and flows with your buildings. And so I want to thank you publicly.
Absolutely.
For
Absolutely.
you and First Lady just keeping the push going. Sometimes you need to see other people pushing. It's not about hate. It's about appreciating what somebody else is doing and watching them like, okay, we can do this.
Yeah.
We can do this. We saw you in the Black Box and we was like, maybe we could try a Black Box, in Southern Maryland. Maybe we could try one up here in Northern. But like there's opportunity when you see other people. And again, I go back to that wheel's been invented.
Yeah.
Why not just work with what you have, And so we've done that, and we appreciate you and other pastors that we watch from afar and up close because you're our friend too. But we appreciate that. We appreciate taking those bricks that you have already labored through and just building from there.
Yeah.
In our own way. So yeah.
But it's obvious that you found the rhythm.
Yeah.
And that word is stuck. I'm gonna have to preach on that word. It's obvious you found that rhythm now, and you stick and you work in that rhythm. And I can just imagine what I'm about to see through y'all and with you and for you. I'm excited to be connected. And anything else, Paul? That
Yes.
you
A question: how is it that you all deal with the negativity that may come your way?
We deal with it totally different. I sleep well at night with my window cracked.
Okay.
I almost said something else, but I'm
We
gonna
gonna
leave
leave
that
that alone. He sleeps well. Me, I think. I'm a thinker. You know, we're a lot alike, Bishop. You know, we're thinkers. So I'm thinking through it because I'm strategizing how to get past, because there's sometimes is some truth in what people say, right? It could be some truth. And here's the reality. Their perception is their reality. So when you think about the negativity, I can't get past your jealousy, but if there is something that I can think about in your opinion, like maybe we could have done that different. Maybe we could have presented it different. If it did offend you, you know, I always take into consideration. I don't always take it to heart, but I take it into consideration. I think
she's
that.
better at that.
Well, that's the
That's
attorney in
powerful,
me.
though. That's
That's the
No,
attorney in me.
She's the balance of us. I
Okay.
promise you, if it wasn't for her, we would not have a ministry. If it wasn't for her, we would not have the doors that are opening, because she is my balance. Because I literally, don't take this the wrong way, I don't care.
Yes.
And that's part of my grandfather raising me. He said, number one, they can't eat you. If they don't feed you, finance you, or then don't worry about it.
Right. Right.
You caught that
You
nigga.
can catch that last F on your own.
I saw that.
Yeah, but that's not always good.
Yeah.
This woman has brought me over to the side. Like, you need to listen to it. Don't take it to heart all the time. You need to hear how they
was
feel
good,
about
though.
it, because
That
you
was-
may need to change some things.
That was
Yeah.
good
Okay.
because even in the social media content creations, if you get caught up with the negative comments and always push them away, then you can't get the totality of the perception of the whole.
Absolutely.
Because, you know, we read all the time, be careful when all men
All
speak
men.
well of
That's
you.
right.
So we take in consideration of the negative comments instead of pushing them to the side and look at their perception, and then better, like you said, maybe we could have did it a different way.
And you know what I love too, Bishop, and I love how you have discipled non-believers to God through dance, through
Through the
skating,
negativity. Absolutely.
through just other mediums that bring you joy,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, it is about a very unique way to disciple people, right? And I think that what we seem to think is that I invite you to church, you come to church, I give you the flyer, I invite you to church, and you gonna come. But it's something else. And it was when I was in graduate school for divinity. I remember having to come up with a unique way to disciple non-believers in India
Yeah.
to Christ. Well, first you gotta learn the culture.
Culture, yeah.
You got to learn the need. You got to figure out what they need, who they need to feed. Do we need to feed them? Do we need to clothe them?
Exactly.
How do we need to handle? Which is why I got so much compassion for non-believers, and where I got so much compassion specifically for women who were oppressed.
Yeah.
I got a lot of respect for that culture because I understood where they came from. I now can understand where you come from. So now I can understand how to take you there. And what I know about our culture, African American culture, is that we love music. We love to dance, and we don't like nothing else. You put that daggone line dance on, we gonna go from our seat
We gonna
to our
dance.
feet, and we gonna participate.
Except for
Okay.
him, he
Yeah,
got-
yeah,
Except
yeah.
for you.
I got two left.
He got
feet.
You got two left feet.
so I got it prepared.
I saw y'all video yesterday. It was good. You did good, brother.
Thank you.
You did
Thank you.
good.
Thank you.
I applaud you. But it is something that it's universal for us. We like to eat and we like to dance.
Yeah.
Period.
It's two things. I think the Lord sent me to connect with him for two things. Show him how to dance and get him tied up to something.
Oh, yes, okay.
And it makes you think.
We working on it too.
But my point is that it has galvanized people, and it has put eyes on your ministry It has put eyes on what God has called you to do in other areas, and you brought them in another way. And that's commendable to me. So back to the haters, for those who are listening to this podcast and don't understand your marketplace ministry, because you have a marketplace ministry like me. So we will have unconventional ways that we draw people to the kingdom, because they unconventional people. Our church ain't gonna look like what it looked like 20 years ago. Same word, different way. So we just gotta be able to be a sign of the times. And I'm gonna say this, and I say this very unapologetically for those that are listening. If you are thought leaders, spirit leaders, anybody that's in leadership in any kind of a way, we cannot be stuck in the ways of old. We should always, whether you Muslim, whether you Christian, whatever your belief is, people in the world who have no attachment to God at all, whoever their God is, we should be the ones leading them. They should not be leading us. We should be the epicenter of information. We should be, because we're supposed to be getting downloads from God.
And if we serve an unconventional God, why are you still doing unconventional things? You're doing conventional things. He's unconventional.
He's unconventional.
It's why they didn't like Christ. They didn't like him because of his teaching.
The old church wouldn't like this.
No, they wouldn't like this at all.
Me as a bishop, sharing or co-hosting
with a Muslim.
they wouldn't like that.
Like that at all.
They wouldn't understand
But
it.
this is what, not church, this is what kingdom looks like. Not the kingdom as we think as Christians. Kingdom is bigger than Christianity. Kingdom is the movement
And that's
of
another
God.
podcast.
Another podcast.
You get ready to go left. You get ready to go left. But this is showing a couple things, which I love. I love that this is showing us diversity and unification. We are unified as one. One. We're unified in that we need to have peace. We're in a world that is unpeaceable. We're living in a time where people are not happy with where they are. They're uncertain, unsure. They don't know what tomorrow looks like. So we have to be able, as thought leaders and as spirit leaders, be able to give people hope and joy, so that our communities can continue to grow. So that that person who would normally be in the house, who's afraid to go out of the house, now has the ability to get out of the house, because we've had this podcast and encourage them to take the lemons that you've been offered and do the lemonade. Get back out there, open up your store, get back out there and do your thing, because there is a group of people that need you. Your voice is attached to the ears of certain people that are going to keep them alive. And so when we retreat, because that's what the enemy wants, no matter what your religion, he wants us to retreat and not be able to give people what they need to live. And so I think that, this is great. This is wonderful, and I'm just grateful to be here.
I appreciate y'all for coming. And I'm gonna say one more question, but it's gonna be for both of you all to answer. From the entrepreneurship perspective, can you give some advice for individuals out there that want to become entrepreneurs or maybe struggling?
Oh my God! I'm going through a struggle right now with a young entrepreneur who disappointed me in their work yesterday, and I told them that one of the most teachable times in your business is being able to hear, now not just listen, but hear the response of your customer. You have to be open and willing to listen to your customer. And that means even the ones you don't work on, because you got to know what they need and know what they want. And if you have presented or you have given me a product that I didn't ask for, that I didn't pay for, because that's what you wanted to do, then you have failed.
Right.
And so we have to be able to listen to our customer base. You know how to look at reviews. If you're interested in doing any kind of business, go to the businesses that you want to model yourself after. Look at the reviews. See, like you said with the word, you got to be careful when everybody got something good to say, but go to the things that they said that weren't good. The customer service might not have been good, or maybe you didn't present it well. Maybe the food wasn't cooked right. Everybody ain't hating. And that's what I tried to tell myself.
Sometimes you're off.
This criticism is actually constructive. This is not to destroy you, but this is to develop you. And I think development is something that young entrepreneurs don't want to do. They want to get the logo, they want to get the EIN number, and they want to launch. They got a launch lust that is beyond words. And I'm going to say it again. Don't be lusting launches. Everybody want to launch. I got the balloons, like I'm cutting the ribbon. But what about getting in the space and working it? That comes from watching the mistakes of others, and learning from them and saying, I'm going to make sure, if nothing else, let me do it the Chick-fil-A way. Chick-fil-A don't never get it
Yeah.
wrong with that customer service.
There you go.
So that's my advice.
My advice is don't fall in love with the glory if you don't want the grind.
Okay.
Like my wife, everyone wants the glory, but no one wants the grind. Entrepreneurship is very difficult. And sometimes when you have the grace to do it, you make it look easy. But nobody knows the months you go without getting paid.
Yeah.
Nobody understands that you have to pay your staff before you pay yourself.
Absolutely.
No one understands sometimes you got to balance the light bill between the phone bill and you still got to come out looking good. Entrepreneurship is very difficult. Business Mentor says something that's so key. I'm going to give you the PG version of it. He says, being a successful entrepreneur is like getting pregnant. Everyone congratulates you on the baby, but nobody knows how many times you had to get pregnant.
Yeah.
So, nobody knows how many times you tried
Yes.
and missed and failed and what you had to go through. So if you don't have the grit for it, if you don't have the grind, if you don't have the work ethic for it, stay away from it.
Yeah.
Because entrepreneurship is not for everyone. It's not for the faint of heart.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Nice. Yeah.
Now, we're going to have y'all close and get last remarks on what can keep a person's mind in this time in which we live, in this adverse time. Because we are in
You close. You
a
close.
serious season.
No, I want you to close it.
How to keep your mind?
Well, yeah, and we got cuts, people losing their jobs, right in our own city, dealing with budgets.
Yes.
People are in despair. They don't know
Sure.
whether they're going to have a job tomorrow. What would you, or would you please say something to those that will encourage them to hold on, or give them some sort of perspective how to navigate through this time?
From a global perspective, we as a people have been here before. It ain't the first time we've been in the struggle.
Okay.
Not the first time we had to reduce, downsize. Not the first time we had to go without. We've been doing this since 1619.
Yeah.
And sometimes we got comfortable with not having to do, but in our DNA we know how to do.
Ooh, that's good.
So never get to the point that we forgot, get amnesia, like we've always been living behind gates and driving Bentleys because we haven't. So number one, we know how to do it as a people. As an individual, you have to keep your mind on God, and your faith has to be important. When I say faith, I'm talking about a religious thing, your belief that God can do it, that God will bring you through this, that the story is not over yet. And so you have to keep your mind, the Bible says keep your mind on things above, not on things of this earth. Keep your mind on the government and the DEI and Trump administration and what Elon Musk is doing. It's going to mess you up. You got to keep your mind on the fact that God says, I have a plan for you. The thoughts I have, thoughts of good and not of evil. And there is an expected end. You may not see the end, but you have to have an expectation of a greater end. And when we do that individually, we do it globally as black people, we're going to get through this. I promise you, these 4 years may seem crazy, but 4 years from now, we'll look back. Last thing I'll say is we have to use the wisdom of Joseph. Joseph told his people, listen, you're going to have 7 years of famine, 7 years of plenty. This is the year to put aside.
Okay.
Hold on to it. No crazy spending. Hold on to what you have until there's a brighter day. And so this is the time that we have to be resourceful with what we have. We have to stick together as a community, put our money together, and get a plan. So Todd, we're gonna survive this, but we're gonna do it. We're gonna come out of this. Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely.
And I would like to say, our wonderful mayor, Merle Bowser, has been doing a great job trying to put funding that she has to work with, trying to make things work. Even though, we understand that it's some cuts that has to be made or whatever, but she's trying. And I want to get on this other subject about football. I don't know if you got a football team or not, but is the Commanders your team?
Of course. Come on, man. All day, every day.
All right.
All day, every day. What other team is there?
There you go. And I ain't going to ask you, Kim, because this is like a little mad thing.
But I'm a sports person.
Okay, well, come on.
We
What
can
about
go
your
right
team?
with the Commanders all
Okay, there
day.
you go.
Commanders and the Lakers are our team.
Our team.
Those are two teams.
Okay, so all the reason why I went there too, because we also got to pray that we be able to turn the RFK Stadium
Oh, absolutely. It's gonna
into
happen.
bring them
what
back to
happens. That's what
DC in the
happens.
world.
That's what we want. We want
There
them
we
back.
go.
We want them back at the old RFK.
the old
I hope they call it RFK.
Yes.
Look, wouldn't that be something?
Yes.
You remember the old RFK
Okay,
days?
yeah.
We had some good times in that
Budweiser
space.
Summerfest.
I done sold a lot of popcorn and
Yes,
sodas.
indeed.
Remember Budweiser Summerfest at RFK?
Superfest.
Superfest. Yeah,
The
Superfest.
Superfest. Yeah,
Well,
good
it was
times.
certainly a delight to have. You're not guests anyway, you're gifts. And family and Paul and I are excited that you helping us launch this Dripping Conversation. I think it's going to be awesome that we can open up and be candid and just let our drip fall from our experiences. And I'm glad that you survived, that you guys are together, and the world is better because of it.
Praise God.
And we're
Yes.
going to do
Thank you
more.
so
We're going
much.
to have both of you come and do some documentaries on you solo
Amen.
Yes.
and get that real juice out of you when we got enough time. But you did a marvelous excellent job.
Amazing
Salam.
job.
Alaikum
That's
salam.
all. Alaikum salam. So Lego.
Yeah, so
Yeah. You don't worry, I'm gonna teach him a little Arabic too. He gonna get it together. He
right.
gonna get it together.
praise the Lord.
Alhamdulillah.
Listen, we out of time, but we're not out of drip. We thank you for tuning in wherever your space is. Keep looking out, subscribe, like, comment, tag, tell, and text everybody that dripping is all over the world. This is Dripping Conversation. I'm Bishop O's.
I'm Paul Weinstock.